Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us today. We're going to bring you an introduction to Connex Florida, Florida's supply chain solution. That's the topic of this webinar. The presentation was especially created for the members of the 13 different regional manufacturing associations across the state of Florida. As I noted earlier, my name is June Wolf, and I'm Director of Network Engagement at Florida Makes. Our agenda today will include a brief introduction of Florida Makes, then an introduction of our presenter today, Mike Eller, who will be doing a live demonstration of Connex Florida platform. Before I begin, just a few housekeeping notes for you. As a participant, your audio will be in listen-only mode using your phone or computer, whichever you chose to do today. During the webinar, you'll be given an opportunity to ask questions using the question window located in your control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Add your questions there, and Stephen Acosta from our External Affairs team will bring those to Mike's attention. This is the live webinar event, which is being recorded. A link to that recording will be provided to you within a few days. It will also be available for on-demand viewing on the Florida Makes YouTube channel. Florida Makes is the Florida member of the MEP National Network. MEP stands for the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and it's a program of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, an agency of the U.S. Department of Commerce. It has the mission to improve the productivity and technological performance of Florida's manufacturing sector. You probably heard about this webinar because you're a member of one of your regional manufacturers associations listed around the Florida Makes Network logo on your screen. Your membership to your local RMA provides you with access to all of the resources developed by Florida Makes, including Connex Florida. The Florida Makes Network is a statewide industry-led public-private partnership operated by an alliance of all those regional manufacturers association on your screen. This network provides service to manufacturers of all sizes with a focus on technology adaptation, talent development, and business growth. You can see here a sampling of what the core values include. If you're interested in any of these, please send us a message in the chat box within your control panel or contact your local RMA. And now to what you're all here for, the Connex Florida demonstration. This presentation will be given to you by Mike Eller, the Director of Supplier Development at Florida Makes. Mike's areas of technical emphasis and strategic engagement are around helping Florida's manufacturing industries strengthen their domestic manufacturing supply chains, as well as to improve their resilience to adverse events like hurricanes or a pandemic, and identify and capture new opportunities in commercial space, energy services, and other fast-growing markets. He's taught at Rollins College in Winter Park and holds a degree in economics and technology from Georgetown University and the University of California at San Diego. A fun and interesting fact about Mike, though, is that he is an Olympic athlete as a member of the United States rowing team. So, Mike, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, June. I very much appreciate it. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us today. And I wanted to give you a chance to see the Connex Florida platform. It's a wonderful resource for Florida manufacturers, and it's a sorely needed resource. As we've been talking with a lot of different companies, a lot of different manufacturers across the state for the last couple of years. We've been working very, very diligently with a number of partners to try to identify resources and avenues to support our manufacturers and our manufacturing ecosystem across the state, with support of some funding that we had in engagement and recovery from Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Michael in the last couple of years. And those assessments that we provided across the state, we did more than 500 assessments of manufacturers throughout the state, highlighted that as many as half of Florida manufacturers that we talked with have critical suppliers for which they have no backups identified. Not only that, but more than 2/3 of manufacturers that we talked to asserted that they were a critical supplier for someone else. And so obviously there's a lot of need for additional information to be able to create more redundant and resilient supply chains. And working with a lot of different partners, including with a couple key partners in Associated Industries of Florida and Space Florida, we've created a database of industrial capability that can be drawn upon, whether it's in a hurricane or a episodic event or something that's more fundamental, like we've been dealing with this pandemic over the last few months. So we have come up with an interactive online database that's searchable and open to all manufacturing enterprises. We've been focusing it initially on the aviation and aerospace industry, as that was an area of great interest. A lot of new companies are coming in and developing new manufacturing enterprises. There's a lot of things going on the Space Coast with new rocket companies, SpaceX, Blue Origin, others who are developing and launching new rockets and recovering them and refurbishing them. But also with COVID and everything that's been going on with the coronavirus effort, we've pivoted that very quickly into medical devices and pharmaceuticals as well. And there are resources that are available through this, not only locally here in Florida, but also nationally through some partnerships with the National Association of Manufacturers and the Manufacturers Marketplace. We'll talk about those in greater detail in a few minutes. But this is essentially, it's a resource that's searchable by industry and government to help in streamlining connections, help you to find new relationships, or help you to be found. So if you are in a particular contract silo and you're looking for new opportunities, this is a way for you to be able to put information in about the capabilities and resources that you have and be found by others who are looking for things that you do. In terms of being able to connect Florida manufacturers, there are a lot of different benefits to that functionality. So we have Connex Florida is statewide. It does cover the entire state of Florida, focusing on particularly supplier manufacturing capabilities. It does have the ability to highlight workforce and research and development, and we have not really gotten into developing those aspects of the platform yet. We've really been focused on the manufacturing capability side of this at this point. But key, it's free of charge. So it's free to those who are within the manufacturing ecosystem. We'll talk about that a little bit further, but certainly for now, for the next several months, it's free. And it also enables us to be able to build greater connections, build greater resilience within our ecosystem, and be able to engage with each other even when we can't be out visiting and being part of large public events, given the current environment. The platform provides a lot of great functionality. There are a lot of different visualizations of different industry sectors. For example, the visualization map over here on the upper left-hand side is the medical devices sector within Florida. The map over here on the right is the aviation aerospace sector. There's a lot of visualization and information about what specific companies are looking for, what are the resources that folks are looking for within the community. So you can see, obviously, a lot's going on with the current environment and COVID and personal protective equipment, but there's also specific types of resources that companies are looking for as well. In addition, the platform offers a very robust set of resources so that you can look at your own supply chain, identify potential issues or gaps, and identify potential alternate suppliers. And we'll talk about that in a little bit of detail as well, but there's some really great functionality related to your own company supply ecosystem. In terms of the Connex Florida platform, getting into the platform, once you first arrive at the platform, there are a couple of ways to get there. One is through our Florida Makes website at floridamakes.com/supply-chain, as you can see there. You can also access the platform directly through a couple of other resources that we'll talk about. But once you've arrived at the platform, there's a brief amount of information here about the platform itself. We are still working on filling out the workforce and R&D platform, so it's primarily focused on manufacturing capabilities and supplier capabilities at this time. But if you as a company are interested in having a listing, having an account within Connex Florida, there's a link here to visit the account request page. We'll show you what that looks like in a moment. There's also more information available through an FAQ or through your direct contact with our team at connex@floridamakes.com. So once you click on the account request page, it'll bring you to this page, which is also available directly through this link here at the bottom. You fill out some basic information about yourself and your organization, and then our team will review your company's credentials. At this point, we are only allowing companies who are verified Florida manufacturers to have a listing and to have account credentials within Connex. And so we'll be verifying that you are, in fact, a manufacturer within Florida that has activities within Florida. We may be reaching out to you further for some more information about that if necessary. And then we will issue you credentials to allow you to have access to the platform be able to take advantage of it. In addition, there's an opportunity where you can go fill out a survey on our business continuity site. I'll show you that in a couple of minutes, but there's a way for you to find out more information about, you put in information about your own company and some of your basic capabilities, as well as there's some information there about whether your company has been impacted in the current environment. The information on capabilities we use as a sort of core basis for a listing within the Connex platform, and then the information about your impact, the impacts. Actually, we'll show you some of the information that we've been able to glean from companies across the state so far. But if there's something that you need specifically in terms of support, a member of our team within the Florida Makes network can reach out and follow up with you more directly on that. But the information related to that is kept confidential. So as you can see, the survey is linked, so some of the basic information will be inputted into the basic portion of your profile within Connex, and then you'll be automatically issued credentials as well through that process. And then there are other information which is kept confidential relevant to how your particular company is doing. So as you can see, we've been collecting information about the resources and the impacts of the COVID-19 crisis across the state. There has been quite a bit of impact. Over 2/3 of the companies that have manufacturers that responded to the survey so far over the last 8 weeks have indicated that there has been some impact to their business in some way, and primarily the largest impact has been a slowing of business as demand has fallen off from a variety of factors. But there have been some specific supply chain issues where certain suppliers have had to shut down or cut back on resources, or folks haven't been able to get goods that they normally are able to procure from overseas. Additionally, that sometimes few folks have had financial issues that have cropped up over the course of customers being unable to pay on the same timeline, things like that. In addition, a few folks have had issues with workforce availability where simply workers aren't able to or aren't willing to come in quite the same schedule as they had before. And so we have folks within our network who are engaging and working with companies in those elements and helping to provide resources and support where we can to help you be able to move forward and continue. Yes.
Mike, we have a question from the audience. An attendee asked, did you look at other supply chain databases when you were planning and developing this tool?
We did, yes, look at other supply chain databases when we were looking at the tool. There are a few different databases that are out there. I can talk about those a little bit more in detail after we've gone through what Connex is all about, but I think that we, yes, we have baselined what we've done against some other tools that are out there, and there are some other tools that we are connected to. We'll talk about that as well in a little bit. I think hold that thought, and I'll follow up on that in more detail after we've done sort of an initial dive into the Connex tool itself. The other thing that we have been able to do, through the survey and through some of our outreach is to identify that there are a number of companies here in Florida who are currently have pivoted to or who are already providing resources relevant to COVID response. So a great number of companies provide capabilities relevant to medical device components. And we've been helping companies get into those areas if they're interested in building that type of business. A number of companies have been developing and producing face shields. A number of companies also are providing different types of personal protective equipment, and there are several companies that are in the ventilator business as well. So we've been able to link up some companies with local healthcare providers that are looking for specific resources, even some local governments that are looking for specific personal protective equipment. And if your company is in that business and is interested in getting engaged in those activities, please don't hesitate to fill out the survey, engage with us, and reach out on those things. For that matter, also, if you're looking for hand sanitizer, if you're looking for face masks, if you're looking for other things for employees, there are companies locally that we can source from. In terms of Connex and the resource that we do have also a connection with the National Association of Manufacturers Marketplace. Connex Florida is a Florida solution, so we're focusing on Florida manufacturers. Account and listing privileges are free. We have some resources related to support in hurricane response, disaster recovery, and as well as now COVID response through the CARES Act to be able to support this platform for the community for the next year. So for the next year, Connex will be free for everyone who's involved with the Regional Manufacturers Association. For everyone who is a member of a Regional Manufacturers Association, it will remain free beyond next year as part of your Manufacturers Association membership. And then there are access privileges for other associated systems. For example, the Manufacturers Marketplace, there's an opportunity now, between now and the end of this month, to get a free account access and listing privileges in the Manufacturers Marketplace system as well. And if you're able to take advantage of that offer before the end of this month, you'll be able and keep your listing active within the Manufacturers Marketplace as well as within Connex. You'll be able to renew that for free, that membership within the Manufacturers Marketplace at the national level for free, basically in perpetuity. So that's a great deal. Normally, the Manufacturers Marketplace costs, I believe, $500 for folks who are within the network, which includes those folks in the Florida Makes Network, and $2,500 a year for just full retail price. So it's a great deal to be able to take advantage of this for free over the next couple of weeks. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you have further questions about that. With that, there are some other resources that we have, but what I'm going to do at this juncture is move over to a live demonstration of the system itself and talk a little bit. I will, before I get into that, I want to talk about how you access Connex from your from the web. So you can come to our Florida Makes website here, Florida Makes Supply Chain, and there's a link here, as you can see, to Connex Florida. Very straightforward. And again, if you're interested in the survey and more information about the survey, you can come to you go to Florida Makes What We Do, Recovery and Readiness, and scroll down to the COVID-19 survey response here. And you just click on this and it'll take you directly to the survey. So very straightforward as well. But in terms of Connex itself, there's a wide range of resources that we have that are available within Connex. This is the view once you have a login and you're set up. If you haven't logged in yet, you can come over here. There will be a login button, and you can fill out the account request form, or if you've been to credentials, you can log in through that portal. But as I talked about before, the major resource that we have here within the Connex platform at this point is a supplier capability resource. And so we have a lot of information about capabilities that different manufacturing companies across the state. As you can see here, there are a broad number of folks that are highlighted. And there are a number of different ways that you can filter that information, so you can add, if you're interested in pharmaceutical medical devices as an industry sector, or you're interested in other resources, specific products, specific services. We'll get into that a little bit, but there are a lot of different ways that you can sort of slice and dice this information and highlight different resources that are available. And there are a broad range of companies here across a number of different sectors within manufacturing, but I do want to highlight a couple of folks just so you can see what's involved in a profile within Connex and what's the kind of information you can find. So you can see basic information. There's some a basic description here about a company. This ADI Metal is a company that does metal distribution and support for the marine and defense industries. You have some basic information about the company. You can see the zooms in on their location, which is in Fort Lauderdale area, as well as some of the other folks in the region. Some basic information about their address, phone number, website, some offerings. But if you go here to you click on the More button, you get into really the bread and butter of the Connex platform, which is the company profiles. This is a lot of great information about each company that's involved, and your company can have a profile very similar to this as well, with a lot of great information. So as you can see, there's opportunity to put basic description in here, contact information, including a website with a link directly to their website, information about some of the key people if you want to reach out and talk to some specific folks within that company. And this is where you get really interesting, is you have a lot of wonderful certifications and qualifications. So there's a number of different certifications that you can highlight, whether it's ISO, whether it's NADCAP in the aerospace industry, ITAR, a number of different FDA certifications relevant to medical devices. And we also have small business association designation. So if you're a women-owned small business, a veteran-owned small business, any of those small business categories, there is a way to highlight that as well and be able to be found by those criteria. In addition, we have a great functionality here where if you've had other types of recognitions, where if your company's won a manufacturer award or had other recognitions within the community. For example, the CEO of this company was named in Florida's Florida 500 and Florida Trend over the last couple of years. And so Betsy McGee, and so they're able to highlight that as well, if there's something that your company has in that sense. In addition, we have the NAICS and SIC codes. So a lot of companies who are involved in defense or in supply chain in general know that SIC codes and NAICS codes are ways a lot of primes and major opportunities are defined, and so there's opportunities for you to highlight your industrial codes here as well and be found by those. So all of this is information that's available that's in a public layer. So anyone who accesses the Connex platform is able to see some of this information, identify different aspects of it. However, if you get a login and a access credential, then you also have access to see and fill out information within the members only level. And so the information here, there's another layer of information about industry sectors, key people. For example, if you want to put information about your people that only other manufacturers will see, rather than sort of a general person who's looking through the resource, you can put them here in the members only section. Specific information about services and products that are offered. There's an opportunity to highlight a capability statement. So I'll go back to that in a moment. But if you wanted to post a capability statement with some more information, there's an opportunity to upload a PDF of that. If there's specific materials that you use or distribute, you can be found on those aspects. Also specific equipment and information about your employees and your production floor space, et cetera. So there's a lot of great information in here that you can highlight. And this goes quite a bit further in detail than many of the other supply chain databases that are out there, whether it be a ThomasNet or others. There's a lot more functionality here in terms of things that you can do that go above and beyond what resources there. And those are great resources as well. We have connections and highlights from some of those in here as also, but there's a lot of great resources that are in Connex that that aren't available through other systems. Another great ability here is to be able to do a lot of great searching. In this case, I'm going to show you another profile of another company. This one is in the Tampa Bay, Pinellas area, just to highlight some of the resources and things that are available through the platform. So one specifically is if this is a company that you have resources that are specifically available, relevant to COVID response. We are putting information that folks are highlighting from the survey and other resources in here, so that you can be found to be able to provide support. Custom manufacturing engineering does electromechanical engineering and equipment for the defense and aerospace industry, but they also provide that and can provide that for the biomedical industry, and so we've been able to highlight that for them as well. In addition, another thing that I wanted to highlight is that with regard to certifications, if you have login and credentials for the Connex platform, you're able to highlight and post specifics about your certifications. So not only can you highlight sort of the categories of certifications, but you can actually post and view the specific certificates that are involved. So in this case, they have an AS9100D for design manufacture of electric power applications, electric monitoring and control assemblies, which is issued in 2018 and expires March of next year. So there's a lot more information that you can have kind of being a part of the resource. This is only available for other manufacturers who have the ability to do a listing. But that's a great additional level of resource that we have. And in addition, there's an opportunity we're working on providing resources for capability statements in multiple sectors. So there's a lot of, also another thing I wanted to highlight is with regard to equipment, there you can put kind of specifics about equipment, and then you can also have specifics about sort of the dimensions of that equipment, the build chambers that that you have of, say, a 3D printer, or the work envelope for a CNC machine. All that kind of information. There are things that you can put in here and have as freely available for other manufacturers to be able to identify and highlight the resources that they need, help you to be able to be found, help you to be able to develop those resources further for new business. Another resource which I really want to highlight as well is there's a way to, if you're interested in finding, say, a specific resource or type of resource, you can simply highlight within the search box above. If you want to, say, do CNC machining, and then as someone who has ISO certification as well, you can highlight specific resources that meet those criteria, and you can make very, very specific criteria if you wish. And so, as you can see, there are a broad number of folks who are across the board who have resources in here, and the more that you have filled out information about your company, the more places that will get referenced, and then the more likely you are to be shown higher in the list. So as you can see, a number of these folks have highlighted their resources and their information, and specifically you can see where if somebody has a specific certification relevant to ISO, that pops up here. In the various different aspects of the profile, you can see where it cross-references. And so, for example, this is a company up in the Panhandle area. Crestview has a number of different resources, and if you want to do machining, a lot of different resources. If you want to see what their ISO certificate looks like, you can simply go straight in there, and here you are. So it's a great way to sort of highlight specific resources very quickly, and that's a wonderful, wonderful resource as well. The other thing that I wanted to highlight here is that this is also a way to, there's a connection with the national platform. So as we mentioned before, there was a connection with the Manufacturers Marketplace, which is the National Association of Manufacturers nationwide supplier capability community. And if we were to do a search for a resource and we didn't find something for that specific resource, or we weren't happy with the range of resources that are available within Florida, we can expand that search to the national marketplace. And so here, there's a button here just at the top of search results. You put in a search, and it will allow you to expand that search to the national marketplace. And you can just click on that button, and it'll take you directly to the Manufacturers Marketplace. So here we are. We're now in the Manufacturers Marketplace, which is a national database. You can see there are resources. There are resources in Florida, but there are resources in Illinois, Tennessee, Texas, Nebraska, Colorado, Washington State, across the country. And so by being able to be listed not only in Florida through the Connex, but also to have the ability to link to and engage and have a listing and resources at the national level, and being able to be found at the national level, that simply expands the range of resources that you have available at your disposal. If you're looking for a specific resource, or if you're looking to be found to be a provider for someone else, there are multiple avenues that we can help you do that, and happy to follow up further. For example, this is what a specific resource at the national level looks like. This is a company out of Bradenton, we are going to be going into a more in-depth assessment of this and the link between the Manufacturers Marketplace and Connex in a Connex 201 demonstration next week. So if you're interested in more information about that, look to that, as well as I mentioned before, the free connection with the manufacturers marketplace is active through the end of this month. So please don't hesitate to take advantage of that. It's a great resource. The other thing that I wanted to highlight, for example, if you are looking for resources in related to COVID response, or you're looking at something that you need for your own facility, as we're continuing to deal with ongoing waves of infections. There are a number of different resources relevant to COVID response activity. You can plug in information, for example, on sanitizer, and there's a number of different resources that are providing sanitizer currently, and you can find more information about them simply by clicking through and providing those resources here. And there are a number of other resources. For example, if you're looking for face masks, to be able to provide face masks to your employees, there are a broad number of folks who are doing face masks as well, and you can simply just go and highlight this, and if you're interested in learning more, just go directly to their website and order directly there. So there are a lot of different resources. In addition, if you wanted to come and find out more about the specific information that they're providing or the specific resources, there are contact information for many of those folks as well. So that's another resource, especially as we're all dealing with a very fluid situation. A lot of great resources. In addition to the visualization that we have in the industry resources that we talked about before, I do want to, there's also a way to browse organizations directly, so you can go through and look up an organization by name. For example, if we want to look at Aerojet Rocketdyne. So there are a number of different ways that you can highlight resources directly if you're interested in looking for something specific. And then we also have the Exchange Center, which I'll talk about very briefly, and then we'll go into in more detail in the 201 segment. But one other thing that I want to highlight as well is there are a number of resources relevant to supply chain, which we have not had a chance to show you yet. So one of the wonderful things about the resources, so this is a demonstration profile of a company. As you can see, there's a sort of the basic information. I do want to highlight, while we're going through here, there is a broad range of different certifications that you can choose from. As you can see, there's ITAR, there's excuse me, the JCP registration for controlling classified information. If you're in the Department of Defense space, there's information on DFARS compliance for cybersecurity. There's information on FDA for medical devices. And then if for some reason, certified good manufacturing processes for FDA as well. And then if there's something there that you don't have, you can simply add other and put the information about it, upload the PDF for the certificate. It's very easy to use. In addition, we have a number of different SBA programs that you can highlight if you wish, if your company meets any of those designations. In addition, I wanted to highlight, there are a broad number of different materials, equipment that are available to be able to highlight. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is why I'm using a demonstration platform to do it, is there is a whole level of information which once you obtain a login credential and information within Connex, there's a confidential layer of information which is only available to your company. And it provides information about suppliers, spark sign suppliers and customers that you work with specifically. And there's some great functionality that's associated with this, can provide value to you now and going forward in the future. And so as you can see, you can highlight a number of different companies. You can highlight information about what those companies provide for you. There's a number of different drop downs to enable you to identify specifics of what companies provide for you. You can rate your relationship with that company and sort of the size of the relationships that you have. This is information that's kept confidential, but it does provide sort of a basic risk assessment of that relationship relevant to your business. Provides you a little bit of information there. There's an opportunity to import suppliers through a Excel CSV upload. That's something we're going to work through in much more details in the 201 demonstration next week. But where I wanted to show you this is I wanted to show you what happens with the supply chain visualization. So not only can you highlight what suppliers you have, it'll enable you to identify and visualize your supply chain. So you can see here's Prime One is the demonstration company, and they have some customers over here, but you have on the right, you have suppliers on the left. And what the system has done is it has assessed the information that you provided it about the resources and services that these suppliers provide to you, and it gives you feedback about that. So in this case, they have a logistics company, but they've identified that this is basically the only company that provides this type of service to your company. So there's a single supplier risk there that they've detected. So then you can identify alternates based on those resources. Again, here, if you're looking at this one, there's a single supplier risk detected, and you can go and hit find alternate, and it will provide a list of potential alternates for folks that provide different resources. So in this case, it'll highlight the company and what they provide for you, and then it'll highlight other potential resources, and this section give you options of different folks who might be able to provide those resources as well. And so then if you're interested in finding out more about a specific company, for example, if you want to find out more about a specific company, you simply click on this and it'll take you to their profile if they have a profile within the system, and that will enable you to learn more about them and what they do, and identify them as a resource in the future. Likewise, these that are coming up are single supplier risk detection, single supplier risk assessments. But when you put in information about suppliers, and these suppliers don't need to be in Florida, they can be anywhere in the country, or for that matter, anywhere in the world, the system will run those suppliers' names and information against a series of databases. So if there's there are a couple of U.S. contractor do not contract lists. There are some financial watch lists out there relevant to terrorism financing and money laundering and other things. And so it will run those companies' information against those watch lists. And if, God forbid, anything was to come up as a potential match, it would flag that as well. So it gives you a chance to do kind of a brief prospective background check on some folks that you may be doing business with. That, for many small and mid-sized companies, is not something that's easily done in other ways. So that's another value resource that it provides for you. In addition, there's some additional resource in terms of customers and resources that it provides in terms of the customer relationship. That'll be a 201 conversation we'll go into in the 201 visualization, demonstration. But I wanted to just highlight this as a resource that's available to you through this resource. This is not available through really any other resource that I'm aware of within the supply chain context in the same way. Are there any questions before we kind of move on to other topics?
We have a question from the audience, Mike. The
Sure.
question is it possible to search the aviation portion of the database to find maintenance, repair, and overhaul companies that supply specific services? So basically the question is asking if you can search for like what products a company would repair, things like that.
Yes, so we can search for, say, for example, maintenance, repair, and overhaul operations, and there are maintenance, repair, overhaul operations that are, you know, within the system. And if you're interested in depending on what the specifics of those are, happy to go into that in more detail. A lot of it depends also on, you know, how much a particular company has put into their own profile as to what, you know, the information that's going to be available for resource. But you can certainly find, you know, information about, you know, specific aspects of different industries along those lines, and we want to be able to build and kind of continue to flesh out the resource to be able to provide those types of resources. Are there other questions?
Mike, are you finished your presentation?
Not quite. I did want to show one very quick aspect of the Exchange Center. So there is also an Exchange Center function where, well, I want to show two things. One, I want to show the Exchange Center where there are resources. You can find information about, you know, if you have a resource, for example, this is a company up in the Panhandle that has a cutter. They've been using it to cut face shields and mask material, but they have excess capacity. And so if, you know, you are somebody who's looking for that, may be able to take advantage of that, there's a resource to be able to engage, you know, this company and move forward on that front. Or if you have you know, something along those lines and you would want to put that out to the community, there is a resource to enable you to do that, and it will go out, you know, specifically to those types of folks within the community that you feel it should be. There are ways to tailor those messages. In the same way, on the need side, there are some folks who you know, are looking for, you know, specific resources. For example, this company that was looking for a specific resource in robotic painting resource. You know, those are also things where we're able to help, you know, connect folks to things that you need. So if you have a specific need that you want to put out there to the community, you know, we can help you get linked up to those resources that you need. If you go and you do a search and you aren't finding exactly what you need, there are other ways to be able to try and sort of ping the network to be able to find what you need, and this is one of those ways. We'll be going into how to use this and how to, you know, take advantage of it in the 201 session next week. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is there are a lot of different resources in terms of help and information about how to use this network, this system. So once you have a login, once you're set up in the system, you can come here under the question tab, little question mark tab that'll pop up, and there's a whole set of things about frequently asked questions. If you have different questions about, you know, help resources, so if you want basics about sort of the organization profile, what's involved in the different aspects of the profile, how you set it up, who has access to what. If you want more information about how to use the search box and get into very specific aspects of what you're looking for in the search functionality, you know, there's a lot of help resources there. We are also going to be working on developing some short videos to show you how to use certain specific resources and posting these through this as well. So there's a lot of different resources there, as well as if you have a question or just something that's stumping you and you're not quite sure what you need, there's a support button. You can always just reach out directly, and that'll enable us to support you with those specific questions. And with that, I think I am finished.
We have one more question, Mike.
Sure.
The question is, do the company profiles include where they sell? So only locally, nationally, internationally? Like, does it tell the location where they sell?
There is not a specific aspect of that. If you as a company want to kind of highlight that within your profile, you can do that within your description or other, where you can mention that you do this, regionally, nationally, locally, nationally, internationally. And we are actively always looking for resources and feedback on aspects. One of the things we're looking at prospectively adding here in the coming weeks is an aspect relevant to export, and for those who are interested in getting in export markets, and some resources available that we're constantly looking at how we can improve and adjust the platform. This is not a static service at all. It's, if you have something that you think you would like to see, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're very much happy to engage with you and work with you on it. I did want to highlight there are a number of different resource links that we have. So the name Connex Florida is available at floridamanufacturingconnex.com. We have the survey is available at our recovery and resource readiness segment. We also have a number of other COVID-19 resources for those companies who are looking at what do you need to do to make sure that you're keeping your team safe as we're all reopening and engaging in business again. We have a number of other readiness and recovery and readiness resources relevant to hurricane preparedness and other resources at our business continuity page. And then there is another capability exchange on the national level, which is being run through Manufacturers Marketplace for COVID-19 response resources. So, yeah, there's a lot of different resources that are out there. We're more than happy to help you, be able to find what you need. You'll be able to build your business, expand your business, or you'll find and resource new suppliers for things that you need if you're having issues with that.
Mike, thanks so much for doing this. And I want to remind the audience, while you're putting in your final questions, we still have a few minutes if you have other questions. I want to tell you that Mike has added an extra 101 demonstration, one like today, on June 30th at 1 o'clock. So if you have colleagues or other folks that might want to listen in, you can tell them about that. And Mike also prepared a deeper dive. He's mentioned it several times throughout this webinar to go into Connex 201, and that's scheduled for June 25th next week at 1 p.m. So go to Florida Make's website to sign up if you have any interest in those particular webinars. So Stephen, are there any other questions, or James?
Yes, June, there's one more that I see. It's how many company profiles are currently in the system?
Yes, so we have, we launched Connex officially back in April. We have a number of companies that have profiles, especially within the aviation aerospace community. We had about 1,800 companies within the aviation aerospace community preloaded in there, some basic information. We have another about 1,500 companies from other sectors across the state. So in that sense, there's about 3,200, 3,500 folks who there are basic profiles. And then in terms of folks who have active profiles using it, we're over 200, 250 or so at the moment, and we're actively every day getting more. So looking forward to having more and more folks engaged and more folks involved as we are building this network across the state.
Okay. Anyone else? Stephen or James, any other questions?
That's all I see, June.
Okay. Thanks so much to everyone for participating in today's live demonstration. And Mike, thanks so much for leading it. We really appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier, We recorded this webinar and it'll be provided to all attendees within a few days. And you'll also be able to watch it and many other webinars on a variety of topics through the Florida Makes YouTube channel. So with that, we'll exit this webinar, and please complete the survey at the end. We always are looking for feedback on how to improve. Thanks so much and have a great afternoon.